Hello, Earth neighbors. Welcome to the Crimisphere, a space to discuss crime and criminal behavior. The way I like to imagine the Crimisphere is that we are like neighbors, Earth neighbors, having an ordinary day until something happens. The police arrived, and the neighbors are gathered around the crime scene tape at the edge of property lines, trying to figure out what happened. Who knows something? Stay tuned until the end to learn what we know so far.
Good morning. This is Monica signing in with you guys. Look, these are the geese. Okay, I'm going to show you what you need to see. Here we go. These are the geese. They've eaten and they're happy. Peaceful. See how everyone is when they've eaten and how animals are when they've eaten? Peaceful. All the way down from that end, back down to the other end. Peaceful life when everyone's fed. Animals and people.
County man is behind bars accused of shooting and killing his mother in their Olivette home. Tonight, his attorney tells 5 on Your Side that his client believed his mom was actually an intruder. Justina Cornell spoke to the defendant's attorney just hours ago, and she joins us from the newsroom with more on this. Justina?
Kelly, Will Goldstein tells me he's known the family for several years. He said 56-year-old Monica McNichols-Johnson and her son, 25-year-old Jaylen Johnson, loved each other very much.
And I got a frantic call from Monica's father telling me what happened.
It was a call for help. An attorney, Will Goldstein, answered to assist a family he's known for several years.
They're a very nice family.
Goldstein is now representing 25-year-old Jaylen Johnson. On Thursday morning, police arrived to Huron Drive in Olivette. Police say a woman was found with a gunshot wound, and paramedics attempted life-saving measures, but Monica McNichols-Johnson died at the scene. The very same day, prosecutors charged her son, Jaylen Johnson, with voluntary manslaughter and armed criminal action. Goldstein defends his client.
Jaylen thought that there was an intruder coming in through the back door, and he fired shots. And this whole thing is just tragic, and Jaylen hasn't stopped crying since.
Police say they believe the defendant poses a danger to the community based on the context of the shooting, but more details weren't disclosed.
You know, as long as we have this easy accessibility to guns in the community, whether for good or bad, whether just to defend your premises or whatnot, unfortunately things like this happen.
Safe Connection works to reduce relationship violence that can look different in multiple scenarios.
I think it's hard to know who to turn to when you're in a situation like this. First of all, do you want people to know? Maybe there's some feelings of shame.
They want to remind people there's always help.
No one thinks this is going to happen to them, and we hope it doesn't. So please reach out before it reaches a point of grave danger. Reach out when you're getting concerned and when things are starting to feel a little out of control or just not right.
The defendant was in court today and he's being held on bond. He'll be back in court next week for a bond hearing.
The first thing that came to mind for me after learning about this shooting that happened not far from an area I grew up in, they're like sister neighborhoods not far from each other. The first thing that came to mind was, what kind of son shoots his mother? And I was so confused at the thought of someone sharing a house, like these two sharing a house, mother and son, and then the homeowner is clearly not there and gets shot by somebody who knows that there's somebody else who lives in the house. It just boggles my mind. And I'm pretty sure it boggled the minds of the Olivette police as well. And I do think that is the reason why the charges have come forward. But the more that I did research on Monica and looked into this more, the more I found that there's a lot of gray things going on here. And it may not be what I thought initially. There may be more complicated things, relationships, past events that may have contributed in some way, or just it's not what you think. You know what I mean? So it became clear to me that we need the investigation. We need the police to bring forth evidence to make sure that this was indeed an accident, or if it was something more nefarious, that justice be served for the sake of Monica. So I'm just going to, because it happens to be March 29th, 2024, which coincidentally is the day that Monica will be laid to rest later today. So because her obituary is already available online, and let me just say right now that the defendant in this case, Jaylen Johnson, should be presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Right now we're in the court of public opinion, so we can discuss, we can speculate, we can ponder our research, our online available information. You know, it's kind of like the neighbors, like I said in my intro, us standing outside, you know, like, what do you think's going on over there, you know? Because I feel like we all are Earth neighbors. And the interesting thing that I came across in reading comments on this case was you had some people, they weren't in the numbers. There were some people who were saying, oh, people need to mind their business. Well, I understand the sentiment behind that of people jumping to false conclusions and, let's say, trying to prosecute a case in public without all the facts and information or a thorough investigation. I get that part. But the other underlying part of that I completely disagree with is the idea that if it doesn't happen to you or your family, it shouldn't concern you. And that's the part that I completely disagree with because, again, we are Earth neighbors, all of us. It's my belief that we haven't really fully understood what it is to be human until we want for our brothers and sisters what we want for ourselves. And with that being said and in mind, that's the reason why I think that the story just affected me. So my channel is actually being launched off of this case. I've always been interested in true crime, television, and I used to watch the First 48 all the time, and cold case files, and even now I love to watch true crime and crime documentary programs on YouTube, and channels. So I was like, because I'm sitting over here constantly like walking through the house, talking to myself about a case, playing out what the defense would do or what would I do if I was the defense attorney or the prosecutor, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, look, just make your own channel and find your tribe of people who have, the same interests, and we can talk about it. So I would like to say that I'm an overthinker. And I have definitely done a whole lot of thinking about this channel and how to put this out. And if I keep thinking about it, I'm just going to not do it because I am a victim of my own overthinking, and I will get analysis paralysis and just not do it. So I'm not going to be editing what I'm saying. I'm just freestyling here. So bear with me because I have an outline to kind of make sure that I touch upon certain subjects. And so that when I hear this back, I won't regret that, oh, you forgot to say this or you forgot to say that. But whatever I forget to say, I'll probably have that conversation with all of you or whoever comes across this video. We'll probably have that conversation in the comments. And just because I've thought about, the channel and how I like to imagine how the comment section will go is that please be respectful of each other and particularly of think about before you write something that family of Monica and Jaylen may come across this, and let's be as respectful as we possibly can and considerate of their family's feelings and the fact that this has to be a family that is completely hurt, devastated, and torn. And think about if this happened in your family, how extremely heart-wrenching and it would be. So I just ask that everybody show respect for everybody and each other when you're commenting. Okay, so that's just doing a little bit of housekeeping. But I was going to let you guys know what I'm calling the comments section. I came up with, and mind you, I hope I haven't heard this somewhere and I think I'm being clever and I'm not. You never know when you're accidentally plagiarizing. So hopefully that's not the case. But I was like, let's call the comment section the comments cafe. Okay. It's kind of elegant to me, where I think of it like we, have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. I don't drink coffee, but let's just say some hot cocoa. I like that. And meet in the comment section afterwards, and we'll talk about my research and what I found, and you can tell me what you think. I'll tell you what I think just so you have an overview of how this is going to go, how the video is going to be laid out, hopefully, is I will present what I found with my research. All of the information that I found is all public. There was no paying for anything. I didn't snoop in places that weren't, open to the public for anybody to do. If you type on your computer, you can find everything that I found. So there was no heavy or, extensive research done. So I have some things that I found fascinating, which I will reveal toward the end, which is there was an unnamed key witness or a person who was there in the house when this happened with Jaylen. That person is mentioned just as the girlfriend, but later on in the video, we have a name. We actually have a name of who that person is. Please do not, again, I'll emphasize, do not reach out to anybody. Do not reach out to anybody. Do not harass people. This is stressful enough for everybody. I'm sure there is a lot of PTSD going around right now. So let's just be respectful and have our own conversation in the comments and leave it at that. Okay, so let me refer to my outline and we'll get started. Okay, since I had made a little bit of a introduction just so that you know who we're talking about, because I think it's best to humanize the victim, which is Monica in this case, Monica McNichols-Johnson. Because unfortunately, by the time this makes it to court or wherever it ends up, the part that I personally have an issue with is how we oftentimes, you see the victim just become a name in court. And unfortunately, I feel like it dehumanizes them. And I think that influences why jurors or judges are so light, because they really can't picture or think of this was a whole human being with a life. No matter what quality or how old they were, they deserve to not be, taken off this earth prematurely. So, and I'm trying to be careful with my words because I want to use the terminology that speaks to the charges, not to, what we may feel. So, okay, so I'm going to read the obituary that is, like I said, available online, because this is a great way to get to know her through the words of those who obviously wrote this short biography for her. So, Monica Lynn McNichols-Johnson was born in St. Louis, Missouri on February 22nd, 1968. She was the youngest of two children born to Tyrone and Donna McNichols Sr. Her mother preceded her in death. Monica accepted Christ at an early age. At the time of her homecoming, she was a member of the Antioch Baptist Church. Monica began her education in the St. Louis Archdiocese schools. After completing 8th grade at St. Francis Xavier School, she attended Ladue Horton Watkins High School. That's a lot to say. As a proud Ladue Ram, Monica was an outstanding freshman athlete who excelled in volleyball, basketball, and track and field. However, due to an accident and medical concerns, she finished her high school sports career as a dedicated track and field participant. Following her 1986 graduation from Ladue High School, Monica pursued a higher education. She attended Central Missouri State University and Clark Atlanta University before receiving a Bachelor of Science degree in education from Harris Stowe University, with minors in psychology and English, in May of 1994. On October 8, 1994, Monica married Harry Johnson. From this union, one child was born, Jaylen McNichols-Johnson. Monica adored her son and his accomplishments. She was always there to cheer him on proudly during his football games. Like her, he was an adept Ladue athlete. Monica worked as a teacher in the St. Louis Public Schools, supporting and advocating for the students. She worked tirelessly to balance family life and her career. Her passion for helping students achieve and overcome obstacles was unrivaled by her commitment and loyalty to the programs and families she supported within the school community. After leaving teaching, Monica continued advocating for students and their families through her various roles as an educator, instructor, and program manager. On March 7th, 2024, Monica departed from this world where she was loved by many. She leaves to celebrate her life and to cherish her memories. Husband, Harry Johnson; son, Jaylen Johnson; grandson, Marquise Boyd; father, Tyrone McNichols Sr., brother, Tyrone, his wife must be Lisa, McNichols Jr., nieces, yada, yada, yada. I'm just going to stop there. So let's just say, and beloved cousins and friends. So that is who Monica was and her memory. So let's move on and dig into what came out so far. So I read many articles, probably 7, 8, maybe even 10 articles, summarizing. Basically, there wasn't a whole lot of information aside from what we already got. So there is a press release that was done. It's not too different from the news story, the audio that I played earlier. So we don't get more information. It's the same information. So I'll put the press release up on the screen, but I'm not going to read that because it's kind of just being repetitive and redundant for no reason. Okay, so now here goes some of the questions. Let me talk about some of the questions that came to mind that I was thinking to myself, okay, there's a lot that I probably don't know or understand. Of course we don't, because she's a stranger to me too, like she is anybody else who heard the story on the news. So I was curious because on her Facebook she says that she's retired. And then when I did the math in my head, I was just like, wait, she started teaching in 1994. She said she retired in 2004. So what has she been doing since then? And because she doesn't really have anything else listed after that. So it made me wonder, what was she doing for work, and was she possibly disabled or experiencing a health challenge of some sort before her death, or even like a mental health challenge? Perhaps, and I hate to say this, but I'm just being honest, that there is a significant change to her physical outward appearance that made me wonder if perhaps there is either some mental health challenges or drug addiction issues, or alcoholism, something that could explain the extreme difference in her outward appearance, her physical appearance. So, and mind you, that could be health too. So I'm not really sure, but it looked like something is going on. And I say that because I think it factors into, coming to some conclusions about what was the relationship like between her and her son. The attorney said in statements to the media, to the news, that Jaylen, I guess, told him that it left me with the impression they implied that it was unusual for her to be at the back door. So, as a, concerned Earth neighbor, I'm looking for the police to probably talk to neighbors to find out if that's true, to find out because from what I saw online, and I will insert a clip of her in her backyard, which that must be where this crime took place.
This is my backyard after a nice rain. Look at this. Did a great job. Birds. Thought you went to go get some other one. Now stop some shit. Fuck off. Call my mama. What's on shit? I washed my car. It looked good too. I'm talking about real good. It's my dog.
It looks like she has a well-tended backyard. I can tell from her social media. We all curate our own social media, so you can tell that she likes to be outside. So she likes nature. These are the things that I got from her social media as to what interests Monica. Now, mind you, like I said, I don't know her, but her social media gave an impression of the things that she liked and cared about or loved. And I could tell she loves her family. I can tell that she likes cooking, like eating. She liked nature, feeding animals. She just seemed like a very caring, sensitive soul. And don't let me forget that she had fantastic musical taste. She like rap more than I do, but hey, that's okay. But which is kind of cool because it kind of reminds you of the fact that this came from the generation when rap's inception and all of that. It's just kind of funny because you could be a grandma who loved rap, but whatever. So that made me smile. But anyway, I could tell that she loved gospel music. She has like some fantastic music on her post on her Instagram. So those are the things that I could tell just from, her curated social media, because she has a Facebook and an Instagram that I looked at because they were open and public. So evidently she's open for us to know her in this way. So back to the attorney. So he said, I questioned those things. So that's why I brought it up that way, which is I question that. I would love to hear from neighbors. I hope that we find out through the investigation whether or not she really, that was indeed out of the ordinary for her to come through the back door. And neighbors would probably be able to speak to that. Hopefully there's Ring cameras or security cameras on houses that can kind of tell us something or shed some light on that whole situation. Okay. The other thing was that Jaylen thought she was an intruder or a burglar or somebody trying to break in the house. Now, one of the things that it's reasonable because because having grown up in that area, now I haven't lived there in that area in many, many years. Many, many years. So things have changed. The world is a different place. But the area, Olivette, Missouri, used to be, let's just say, I don't know if it still is, but it used to be a nice area, very nice area, suburban area in St. Louis County. It's not St. Louis City, okay? And obviously she has an affinity for St. Louis City too, because we'll talk about that maybe later if I remember. But I'm just saying that when we hear about St. Louis being violent, it's not as much in the county as it is in the city. So it's not to say that things don't happen. And we're in America. There's violent stuff happening all over America. Is there a safe neighborhood in America? We can go down, the road and kind of debate that. But the point is that it's a relatively nice area. However, when I did some research recently, when I was doing this research, that's not the case anymore. How they described that area was that they do have a higher than normal level of crime in that area. And it's kind of interesting because the way it's described, as far as the demographics, real estate values and how much people make and, what type of people and education level of the people in that area, which is that it's above normal or very well-educated people live in that area. The average, I believe, household income is like $92,000, which is above what the average income is for an American family, which I believe they said is 69 or 62,000. So you can see this is above average suburban neighborhood, So I say that in order to put that question mark out there as to why was he, let's say, so afraid. Things can happen, obviously. And then the time of day, the fact that they said that this happened somewhere around 7:30, just before 7:30 in the morning. This time of the year at 7:30 in the morning, the sun is completely up. You can see very well. It's not like you were looking out into a backyard in the middle of winter. So that's another thing that comes into question and into mind as to how didn't you know who it was? Why didn't you look out a window? And I'm giving the benefit of the doubt in saying maybe you just woke up and you were kind of, some people wake up very confused and disoriented and all you heard was some noise or something like that. But that's the part where I totally understand why the police pursued criminal charges, because is it reasonable? That's a question I'll put out there for you guys, and comment now if you think it's even reasonable to shoot first and then ask question later, because that's what it feels like. It feels like he shot first and then, oh, who was that? Now I figured out afterwards, which seems very unreasonable to me. But the lawyer went on to say that he's a sweetheart of a kid. Now, I thought, okay, his attorney is apparently a very well-respected, highly regarded attorney in Missouri. And he is doing his job, let me tell you, because I have been, when I read over his statements, I was like, well, you know what? If I ever need a lawyer, I'm calling him. Let me tell you that. So if you see this, Will, I'm calling you if I ever need an attorney, and I will refer him because he's really doing his job. But he called him a sweetheart of a kid when he was talking to the media. And in saying that, he's definitely doing some really early, hey, if there's anybody out there that's going to end up being a juror, or if you hear about this, I don't want this client of mine to become vilified, to be seen as, just another, criminal or, something like that. He is definitely doing his job, I thought. But I thought, come on now, sir. Now is not the time. The story is a son shot his mother. Give us a minute before you start calling him a sweetheart. Let us find the facts. I was just not ready to hear sweetheart and son shot mother, around the same time. But then he also called him a kid. I took issue with that too, because Jaylen is 25. That's not a kid. And actually Jaylen is a father. He has a child. I saw on social media, on Monica's social media, she's a grandmother, or was a grandmother. And yeah. So this isn't a kid. This is an adult, a young adult. But let me tell you, I'm not knocking it, because I know that the lawyer was doing his job and representing his client. He's an ex-college football player. We learned from the attorney he's employed. He has no criminal background, like no issues there. And I did check that out, and I concur. The only thing I saw when I checked out his background, and mind you, this is all public, was traffic things, and that's not criminal. So, everybody can get a speeding ticket here and there or whatever. So, and the lawyer also lets us know that he's known this family for many years or several years. So, again, by him associating himself with them, like, we're the same. Like, I'm a good person, so they're good people. The lawyer is doing his job. All I got to say is he's lawyering, okay? He is definitely doing his job. And the other thing that he said that I thought was, and how he closed that interview for the news was he hasn't stopped crying. Speaking about Jaylen. And he hasn't stopped crying. And that's an interesting thing because it obviously implies it was an accident. It implies remorse. He's doing his job. That's all I can say. So I'll pause there and let's move on to the next bullet point that I have on my outline. Hold on. Before I move on, I just saw that I missed a very important point, which is, and this is really the bomb that the lawyer dropped. I mean, we know Jaylen's defense now. We know what he's going to say in court at this point, which was attorney Will Goldstein told the news that Jaylen was robbed at gunpoint previously, and he had the gun for protection. Hello. That's big. That's major. So, and he's already set the ground for his defense. And I was like, well, okay. Because, you have your initial emotional response to hearing such a story that sounds horrific on face level. But when you hear he had been previously robbed before, so you like, oh, maybe he's jumpy or has PTSD. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this could be a terrible accident. You know what I mean? So now I'm there. I'm on that side. The pendulum has swung towards, oh, this is just an accident. You know what I mean? So, but the thing that it triggered for me though, before I leave this bullet point, because I was about to leave and I was like, skirt, stop, go back, which was the Second Amendment. This is something that I have always taken issue with. I'm sure that I'm going to have a rant or two or three or 100, whatever, as we go through this channel and probably through this video. But I'll try not to get too far into my own opposition or issues with this birthright that Americans have to just have guns and stuff like that. But I do want to say this because of the fact that I've been following and have seen these stand your ground cases and castle law, cases that have come into courts, and I've watched some of these trials, which is people better start using their brains and thinking, before you go out and either purchase a gun for safety or before you shoot and fire a gun before you know that it's a reasonable, let's say, shooting or something like that. And mind you, that's a lot to put on an average normal person. We are not police officers. We are not in the army, military trained or any of that. So that's the reason why I personally, especially after doing a research paper years ago, you know what I mean? And I'll probably bring up some of the things that has happened in my family, in maybe a later video. But long story short is that when I was in college, I did a huge research paper on gun control and gun violence and all that kind of stuff. And I think the stuff that I researched all those years ago, it's still true today. And that was probably over 20 years ago. But which is that having a gun in a household, I can't remember how many times, but let's just say you're more likely to kill a family member or have a family member use that weapon to commit suicide than to actually kill a home intruder. Now, if we knew that, if everybody who bought a gun, it came with that disclaimer, do you still think this is something that you need, or, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know, because there's more to it, and we'll talk more about why I think he had this in the first place when we start talking about what he does for work. But in the meantime, let's move on to the charges. Okay, so the St. Louis County police, or I don't know, the assistant district attorney, prosecuting attorney, whatever they're called. The charges that they brought forward is count 1 is voluntary manslaughter, a class B felony, and count 2 is armed criminal action, a class U felony. So it says that Jaylen Johnson, in violation of section 565.023, committed the Class B felony of voluntary manslaughter, punishable upon conviction under section blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read all that. And that on or about March 7, 2024, in the county of St. Louis, state of Missouri, the defendant knowingly or with the purpose of causing serious physical injury to cause the death of Monica L. McNichols-Johnson by shooting her. And in 2, it says that Jaylen Johnson, in violation of section 571.015, committed the felony of armed criminal action, punishable upon conviction under section yada, yada, yada. And that on or about March 7, 2024, in the county of St. Louis, state of Missouri, the defendant committed the felony of voluntary manslaughter as charged in count 1, all allegations of which are incorporated herein by reference, and the defendant committed the foregoing felony by, with, or through the knowing use, assistance, or aid of a deadly weapon. What I ended up, I guess, learning in my research about that second charge, armed criminal action, which is anytime you have a tool, this charge is almost like a salad with your entree. Not that that's funny, but you know what I'm saying. Which is that it comes with it. If you used a deadly weapon of some sort, it's considered armed criminal action. So it almost seemed like it's a blanket type of charge. I mean, obviously it's a felony, so it's still a problem. But it's worth mentioning that that is how it ends up being, let's say, applied. Now, with him getting charged for manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, I'm pretty sure that right now, this is something to keep in mind too, and I'm for myself and for anybody else, which is charges can be dropped. You know, what if they investigate, they don't find enough evidence to support a case? Charges can be dropped, and charges can be increased. More charges could come if they find evidence that supports, more charges. Right now, I feel like this is a bookmark charge, potentially. And it could be the final charge. Who knows? There could end up being a plea deal. That's always something that can happen, or keep in mind. But again, I don't think that's going to happen in this situation because Jaylen has no criminal history at all. And that goes right into speaking about the bond. His bond was originally set, as the article said and as the news story said, at $100,000. And the bond was reduced because, again, and I'm not getting paid by Will Goldstein, the attorney, but he is clearly doing his job because that bond was reduced to $25,000. But I was just like, oh my God. What type of Crimisphere do we live in where you can shoot somebody, unalive them, and get out on $25,000? Basically, he only had to put down 10%, which is $2,500. What? I mean, again, I know that this is going towards being an accident. He has no criminal history, blah, 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 blah. They have to do their investigation. But there are some things that came out, and we will talk about them later, which is the social media streets are talking, that there may be more to this than meets the eye. And again, all of this is alleged at this point because, hey, don't sue me. It's all alleged. I'm not saying anybody's guilty or not. Yeah, so I thought it was interesting to kind of look at the bond and what the stipulations are with the bond. And I thought it was kind of telling too, because it actually pointed me to where I wanted to do more research. Because the bond made me say, because I had already did my little, I had started, let me say I hadn't did it all, but I had started my social media research because, you know, social media, you can see what people are up to, how they think, who they are, whatever, how they curate their social media. It says a lot about them sometimes. It says, and I left the judge's name out because, I mean, like, why piss off a judge, right? And I also tried to, and I hope I did a good job of that, of leaving out what I thought was too personal information, because, again, he's out on bond. So, you know, we know that some of y'all are crazy out there. So we are still, you know, protecting people's rights to privacy, because if somebody feels like doing the research, you can find everything that I found. Like I said, all of this is public information, but you're not going to get it from me. Okay, so the bond is set at $25,000, and this was on March 13th that there was a preliminary hearing scheduled. So ordered the judge, blah, 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 scheduled for, oh, okay, it looked like there's a hearing scheduled at 1:30 p.m. on May the 2nd, 2024 in St. Louis County. The bond is set at $25,000 with 10% authorized, making bond $2,500 to post. Pre-trial level 4, no alcohol, EHD bracelet ordered with GPS installed within 24 hours of release with proof of installation payment prior to release. Defendant to obtain and maintain employment. Interesting. Remember, the attorney said he was employed, but anyway, we'll talk about that. No firearms or weapons in possession or vicinity of. No drugs except as prescribed by a doctor. Defendant ordered release to the custody of. I blanked this out because I feel like these people they didn't do anything. So I just removed it. But let me just say, it's the grandfather. It's Monica's father. Okay. So who shall, and if you remember, actually it was in the obituary that I read earlier, but whatever. Anyway, who shall supervise defendant as directed by the court? Defendant shall sign up for track this case, which I assume has something to do with the courts. Within 48 hours of release, defendant must obtain employment other than self-employment. Defendant is not permitted to operate a business inside the residence. Defendant ordered to obtain MH, which I assume means mental health counseling and or treatment. So ordered, judge, blah, blah, blah. There was an associated bond hearing, reduction hearing that was back on March 8th, as you see there. So you can kind of see like how this progressed to, again, the attorney is really doing his job. Okay, let me move on to see what my next bullet point is. The house. The house, the house, the house. So, and mind you, this actually, before I get to the house, because it was the bond, reading that bond information that made me go and figure out what did he do? Like, what does he do for work? Okay. And when I went out there, what I actually found was I have this down. I'm going to touch that in a minute, because I actually have bullet points that comes later that will address the work and how the judge doesn't want him to continue doing that work. Okay. Okay. So the house was a point of huge, let's say, importance to me, because the news articles and our first, let's say, I don't even know how to put it, but let's just say when this story first came out, they said this is a house that they shared, which again is part of the reason why I was just so pissed off, to be honest, about him shooting her, which was, if your mama not home, why are you shooting? Like, it could be your mama. Wouldn't you check her room, or wouldn't you, like, huh? You know what I mean? And it's 7:30 in the morning. That's the first person I would think it was. So it made me wonder, like, maybe she's not there all the time. Maybe she's, stays nights somewhere else or with someone else where she's not there all the time, or some type of arrangement. It just made me question, what is the arrangement in that house? Do that mean that she's not there all the time? That he's kind of gotten out of use of her coming in, or is there, what's going on there? You know what I mean? That's what I question. So I went to the real estate county records and looked up that house, and I was like, she does not own that house. It's not her house. So whose house is it, you wonder? It is her father's. Her father and her older brother are listed on that house as the owners. That's not her house. So that would mean that both of them are there at the pleasure of the two Tyrones. Okay. So they've put baby sister and her son in a home together. So that would almost mean that these two adults are like living like roommates, so to speak. You get what I'm saying? Because when I looked at the records, this house has been in the family longer than they've been reporting to the county records. So they've had the house at least since 2013. So that's a long time. And the house was originally under her mom and her dad's name. And now it is, because, mom passed away. Or I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but her mother has passed. No, it said it in the obituary. Yeah, I did mention it. Her mother passed away in 2018. So it's now in her brother and her father's name. Makes sense to me because of inheritance and, not letting the stuff get caught up in probate, whatever. So let me also put out there, and I was going to save this I'll save it for the end, or I'll talk about the family. But anyway, so that really does shift some things for me personally. It did. And what it shifted in my mind was that, oh, that's what happens when you make assumptions. I was under the thing that, how you going to be shooting her at her own house? You know what I mean? And mind you, it still was saying that they shared that house. But it does shift it down a little bit. Does it take it down to a lower gear for me? When I think of the fact that, she doesn't, in his mind, potentially, it ain't your house. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what the nature of that relationship was, or if they were fighting over the house. I have questions, and I look forward to the investigation telling us. If I were a juror, I would want to know, as much as I can about that house, and was there a house dispute? Are they fighting over that house? Are they fighting about who comes to the house? Are they fighting about what activities go on inside the house? And then one of the things I thought of, because, and this is the reason why I have a channel, because I need people who have overactive brains like I do, which is perhaps Monica was trying to sneak in and bust him doing something. Like maybe she said, don't have your girlfriend over here, or, or maybe he's not supposed to be doing something that she, suspects him doing or whatever. And maybe she was trying to quietly come in the house like sometimes parents do when they trying to bust their kids doing stuff. And maybe that's why she was coming through the back door, because she was just like, oh, he said blah, 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 but I'm finna, maybe that's what it was. Sound like something a parent would do, right? Or at least it does to me. And then I thought about, did he change the locks on her? Lock her out or something like that? My brain was just going, okay? And like I said, this is all alleged. This is just my own speculation, conspiracy theory, that's all. So yeah, those are the types of questions that came through my mind, which is, was that the issue as to why she went around to the back? Or how do we know he's not lying, that she always comes through the back door? That's the part where, like I said, I want to hear from the neighbors. Hopefully the neighbors will be able to shed some light on that. And then also the other thing that comes to mind for me was, I was talking about this case with other people, my sounding boards in my life, right? And we were talking about, like, some of these people have kids, some don't, some live by themselves and they don't have children. But they was just like, do you think, even if somebody said, who's there? Or who, like, let's say they heard you scurrying at the door like a squirrel or something, looking for your key, whatever. Even if they say, if somebody inside the house wants you to identify yourself, do you feel obligated to if it's your house? I was like, no, I don't. If I'm, my kid don't have to have the privilege to be like, identify yourself, mom. I'm like, this is my house. So that was one of the things that a lot of us were just like, no, she doesn't have the obligation to identify herself coming through her own door. So again, this leaves more questions about, was it a reasonable threat? Was it reasonable to fire a gun under these circumstances? What if it was a Girl Scout? I mean, she shouldn't have been there at 7:30 in the morning. I mean, have some decency, little girl. But it could have been the police saying, hey, we was just, anything. It could have been a neighbor. It could have been a lost child. It could have been anybody at that door. And you didn't bother to find out who's on the other side of it before you start shooting. This is weird to me. And like I said, I see why the charges came forward, because I'm an average Earth neighbor. Okay. I'm a casual citizen. Okay. I'm an Earth neighbor, and I don't find it to be reasonable at all to be firing a weapon when you don't know who it is. But here's the other thing that came to mind, which is, did she have a crowbar or something? Did she have legal right to be in that house? Because when they said a shared house, maybe the news didn't know that there was a reason that she shouldn't be there. But it made me wonder, did she have legal residence at that house? Like, was it okay for her to be there? And that's kind of foreshadowing or hinting to something that I'll talk about later, what I found in court records. But anyway, those are the types of questions. And I also wonder, was it a reasonable fear? Because jurors may or may not be familiar with Olivette. And they may say, what the hell are you scared of in Olivette? You know what I mean? Ain't that much going on in Olivette. In this suburban neighborhood. He went to Ladue schools. His mother went to Ladue schools. Ladue, these are one of the best schools in the area. One of the rich people's schools, if you get what I'm saying. So it was one of those things where it's just like, dude, like, why are you so jumpy? Like, what is that about? So anyway, okay, so moving on. That was my thing with the house. Now, let's move on to Jaylen's employment type, what he does as his self-employment, which the judge don't want him doing anymore under this bond condition, which is he has a social media presence, and it sounds like from his social media, he has a self-employment job where, I guess I'll describe it the way I heard him describe it, which is, it's like Turo, if you've heard of that. I only recently became familiar with Turo before this situation popped up. Maybe last year sometime. I think maybe a year before, maybe in the last 2 years that I know what Turo was, or something like that. Maybe even be just 1 year ago. So he rents cars out to basically people 19 and above. And I was like, that's pretty smart. Because people 25 and under, the insurance is super expensive, and a lot of times car rental places ask for things that they may not have or may not have enough of. Like, I think sometimes they make you put down like that $200 or $400 deposit, which I don't know if he does or not. I didn't look into it. I wasn't trying to rent a car, but I thought it's a great business idea though. He definitely has an audience, I'm pretty sure, for that. There's a need. Let's just say he's fulfilling a gap in the car rental industry by coming up with this business idea. So, but one of the things that stood out to me was that his ads are geared towards, I'm going to say it, let's say politically correctly, geared toward the inner city or urban youths. Okay. And that made me like, boy, I'm scared for you, first of all. But secondly, I thought about this gun, him having this gun. And they said that he's been robbed before. Now, when I looked at his social media, I saw cars. Obviously, he rents cars to people. But I also saw him flashing cash. Is that smart? No, it's not. No, it's not. If people think you have cash money, they're going to rob you. Of course, they're going to rob you. So, is this his youth? Probably. Does that excuse him from shooting and unaliving a person? If I was a juror, no. No, it absolutely doesn't. It's just it would be a tragedy, but it doesn't excuse you. Not for me, it wouldn't. Okay, I'm just telling you, I would be a hard-nosed juror because of how much I respect life in general, and feel like it's not fair for somebody to be snatched off of this earth and out of this experience, with just stuff that is so unnecessary. But I'm not gonna get on a soapbox. So the number two, the other self-employment that it seems that he says he does is he does like branding, like marketing management, I think is what he calls it, for athletes and artists, to include, I believe, models. I was just like, oh, okay. Whatever. I won't even comment on that. But he also listed himself as like a VP of some other company. Whatever. I'm not gonna go too far into that because I'm just kind of like, you were living with your mom, and it sounded like none of these companies were around except for like last year, like 2023 is when this happened. I think he even may have graduated last year or something like that. I'm not really sure, but from college, that is. So he is college educated, like the lawyer said, which is, I'm happy for him for that. That's good. But it's something to keep in mind, which is that he comes from a good family. Okay. In my social media research, he has a really good family. Monica and Jaylen have a really good family. Like, these are educated people it looks like a family of educators, like generations of educators in some capacity. And I was just like, wow, I love it. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, you would want to go to these people's Thanksgiving dinner. Like, this is like a really good family. You know what I mean? I was just like, I feel like I know these people. Okay. So they just felt familial. Okay. And, which is all the more puzzling as to how he landed in this situation, why Monica is dead, and how does this happen to a good family. And I know that there are people every day that, bad things happen in good families, but that's the part that made this story one that I could not put down. Okay, like, I had to know more. I had to see what I could find. Okay, let me keep going. Question. I'm back to my outline. Said, did Jaylen's choice of self-employment lay way to him being robbed? I think I addressed that. Is he really gainfully employed? Now, that's a question that I have because I know that he has a child. And the fact that he's still living under the roof with his mother at 25 with a child, he has a family of his own. That, mind you, we're living in hard times now. So, I have always been like, don't push your kids out too quickly. Don't push them into, especially, don't push them out into the arms of bad relationships or people who will abuse them, misuse them, or they'll make bad choices, whatever. Don't push your kids out, too soon. Like, a lot of people think you turn 18 now, you get out of my house. If you can still respect your parents' rules and y'all can cohabitate peacefully, how to be respectful of them and your own adulthood transition, all that kind of stuff, then don't push them out. But when there gets to a point where you are, getting to the point where you want to be, run the show, you want to be an adult, you want to be on the lease or the mortgage, you need to go and get you a lease or a mortgage at that point. So I'm not going to jump ahead of this, let's say, little discussion. But I think maybe some of that is going on here, that he should have been on his own because, like, literally, you have a family now, you graduated from college, you are an adult. But he is the only child, so I kind of feel like, is there some entitlement going on here? I don't know him, but these were things that came to mind, you know what I mean? Which is what's going on. The other thing, let me go back just a little bit about the employment, which is this a business cover for some illicit activities like selling drugs? I'm just asking. Because just because you haven't got caught don't mean you're not doing it. And I'm not trying to stereotype him, but it did make me wonder if there is a potential that his activities around this job, or because he ain't got caught doing other things, could that be the reason why he's so jumpy, you know? Because we know that people who, be dealing, they get robbed. People know you got money and they will rob you for your stash or your money. And even with him having this business that he has, where he's fanning cash online, you're bringing that type of potential violence upon yourself by, telling people, I guess, I don't know if you're trying to, impress people or impress women. I don't know. But it's very naive and it's dumb. Let me just be straight up. It's dumb to do that in 2024 in America, in such a violent society. Like, that's crazy. And I feel like if that's the reason why you're jumpy now, like, you created a situation, potentially. Jaylen created a situation, potentially, where he took out this job. This is his choice of work that may have brought on the robbery that happened. I don't know that for a fact, but I am wondering if the robbery that he experienced before has something to do with the job that he does, and or what he's doing on social media by posting cash and stuff like that. That gives people, that's like drawing the wrong type of attention, So, and look at this, and Monica's dead. She's unalive because of that. Like, what? Like, that bothers me. And then I also wonder, because of what happened to him with the robbery, could he be suffering from PTSD? Now, evidently the judge is thinking the same thing, because even before I saw that bond hearing and where they ordered him to get mental health counseling, the mental health counseling could be just the simple fact of, you unalived your mother. You're not going to be right in the head probably from now on. You know what I mean? Like, how do you talk about this to your child one day? How do you close your eyes on Christmas Eve, on every birthday, on her birthday, on Mother's Day? It's just so many reminders in this life that are going to haunt him. That's all I can say. Good luck. Just good luck with that. But anyway, my point is that the defense might throw any and all of these out and see what sticks with the jury. If this goes to a jury or a judge. I would definitely, if I were representing him, I would definitely throw out all of these. And then the other thing that I thought of, because he's an ex-football player, is, do he have CTE? Which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. I probably pronounced that wrong, but I tried. Because I already thought he may have post-traumatic stress disorder, which is more than likely from the robbery. But CTE is something you have to think about when you talk about a football player, ex-football player, which causes brain disturbances. So we don't know, but I'm glad that the judge has taken weapons out of his hand, because, I mean, my goodness, the neighbors, wherever he's at, I mean, like, the family, moving on. I already mentioned this, but they appear to be good people. Lots of educators, college educated people, people that are excelling, people that are, let's say, staples of a community. These are the people you want to have as neighbors. That's why I'm just like, what happened, Jaylen? What happened, son? Because this doesn't make sense. This don't fit the picture of suburbia. This don't fit the picture of going to Ladue High School, one of the best schools in the state. This do not fit the picture. What is going on? So I thought about, is there some kind of resentment? Is there something going on in their personal lives? Because that personal disturbances and family problems, or personal, struggles and challenges, that will ruin the best of families and the best of neighborhoods, right? Anything can happen because of those things. Now, let's move down. I'm getting there, y'all. Which is Shaun White. Shaun White. I can tell he loved Monica. Now, what I don't know is in what way did he love Monica? Because here's the thing that's kind of confusing from the research. And mind you, this ain't my business, so it should be confusing because it ain't my business. But it is because we're in the court of public opinion right now, and we're in the comments cafe later, which is, was this her boyfriend, her lover, her friend, just a friend, or a friend with benefits? Which one is it? You know what I mean? So I was getting from the way they hung out, they was hanging tough. She looked so happy. She looked in the social media posts, he looked so happy with her. She looked so happy with him. You want your mom, you want your sister, you want anybody to be smiling like she was smiling in her social media posts. You know what I mean? So whoever Sean was to her, that's why I said I won't speak to the nature of it, because again, you heard that obituary. They still calling Harry Johnson her husband, okay? And I didn't find a divorce, so I was questioning that, like, what is going on here? What is going on? Is this some kind of illicit romance? Like, did she go get her little, let's say, pseudo gangster boyfriend? Because this guy looked like he's an upstanding guy. He's educated. He speaks intelligently, even though he's still hood, okay? But those are sometimes the funnest people to be around. Let's be honest, ladies, okay? But I'm just saying that what's going on here? What's the nature of this relationship? Okay. And is that part of the resentment? Is that a factor? You know? And I'll show some things later.
Comedy special.
Def Comedy Jam, Fat Daddy 49. I can hula hoop with Bush Stadium. I scratch my back with the arch. My back so wide, they call me Big Back Double D. Goddamn me. Do you see me? Hey. Chubsy and Wubsy ain't got nothing on me. They call me Big Bone. Everybody else say I'm fat. Fat D. Goddamn me, you. Oh, what you think? Am I fat? Oh, look at that. That's good eating. You can't eat like that. You gotta eat you a whole buffet steam table in order to get pleasantly plump like myself. Don't you know? I've been doing this a long time. And when you want to put that Def Comedy Jam together, call me. I'm gonna call all the hitters. Call Rock Obama. Call City Entertainer. Goddamn me. We gonna put it together. Call Guy Torrey, Joe Torrey. Open up that funny bone. I feel like laughing because my bones feel funny. So 2 bees in the bucket. We in St. Louis, so we gonna say fuck it. And we gonna do this like a STL thing.
Okay.
You all have a good day. Def Comedy Jam 2023. Coming. Christmas tournament, battle tournament. Come one, come all. We got $1,000 charge if you win the Def Comedy Jam. Sarah. Big baby.
Peace.
That you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so now let's move on. One of the things that, and I'm not even sure which order to go in here, because I have that, but I'm like, is it better for me to talk about this? I think I'm going to come back to Sean, and I think I'm going to get into something that needs to come before Sean, which is in 2020, there's some charges. Yep. There's some criminal charges out there. And it's not what you think. The criminal charges are against Monica. Monica's the defendant in that case. It looks like it dates back to May of 2020. And some of this I can't make sense of because, but one of the other things that is tying in, you know, like I said, when you do research, it's so funny how you go down rabbit holes. And when I was looking at Monica, you know, looking her up in the court system, these are all public records. When I was looking her up, I found these criminal charges from 2020, which is, you know, I don't know how people feel. Is that a long time ago? Is it not? I don't know. I guess it depends on how you look at it. But the interesting thing is that guess who represented her? William Goldstein. Yep, you betcha. That's why he goes back with the family, like he said, several years. Of course you do. You represented Monica in a criminal matter that she was involved in. But here's the part that I found, like, what is going on here? Which is, and you're going to hear some clicking because I'm going back to see if I can find the case, which is, okay, so something happened, and I can't tell because I feel like a lot of it has been either purged or it's not listed, because I think there was a protective order out where Monica, there was some DV, okay? If you don't know what DV is, trust me, I just found out. Look it up or ask somebody else in the comments, but I don't want to get my video flagged, okay? But there was a $75,000 bond so Monica must have been locked up, or there was a warrant issue for her, okay? The part that's kind of hard is that I can't tell what the charges were. More than that, let me see. It was domestic assault in the 4th degree, first or second offense, which was a misdemeanor. But I think this is when it got reduced. I think it was a higher charge before this. Let me tell you that. But it could have been this. It could have been this. So don't quote me on that. Like I said, conspiracy theory. I'm trying to read into this, But it looks like on May 21st, so maybe this is the original charge. There's domestic assault in the 4th degree and a first or second offense. And then the other thing was resisting or interfering with arrest for a felony. Okay, so it says over here on count 2, the court suspends imposition of sentence. Defendant is placed on probation for a period of 2 years under the supervision of DJS. What is that? Is that a person's initials, or is that like a county court or something? I don't know what that is. I don't know what DJS would stand for. Defendant shall comply with the conditions set forth in the separate order of probation. So she was on probation for 2 years for that one. Now, for the other one, on count 4, the court suspends imposition of sentence. Defendant is placed on probation for a period of 3 years under the supervision of MOBD, P, and P. What is that? Missouri Baptist Department? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. If somebody know, comment below. Let me know. Educate me, because I don't know what that is. Defendant shall comply with the conditions set forth in the separate order of probation. So now, if we're looking at this, let's just say this is May of 2020. So she technically would have been taken off of probation May. That's if they didn't run these concurrent or consecutively. I don't really know. I'm thinking they were probably ran concurrent, okay? That's just me guessing. Flip of the coin, who knows? But if it was, let's just say that the probation would have ended in May-ish of 2023, okay? Because the highest one was 3 years. So with that, let me tell you what else I found on this. I already mentioned that William Goldstein represented her. She had a different lawyer at one point, but they brought in Goldstein to get it done for her, which is smart. Okay, I think that's all that I have on that particular thing. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about, the bond. So, because I thought this was crazy. Okay. This is June 2nd, 2020. This is when the bond was set for what we was just talking about. On behalf of Monica L. McNichols-Johnson, it's filed by William Goldstein. This is a reduction modification of existing bond. Amount of bond set, $50,000. Cash only, no 10% defendant. So that's interesting, because we know that Jaylen had his bond originally at $100,000 for unaliving her. Her bond was set at $75,000, and as far as I know, nobody's unalived. Okay. He got $25,000 bond set, and he was able to put down 10%, which is $2,500. Hers was reduced from $75,000, the bond originally, to $50,000, cash only, no 10%. Huh? What did she do? Whatever. It said defendant cannot be within 500 feet of victims, that was plural, and their home. No firearms or weapons, no drugs, no contact or communication with victim. Must go to BJC clinic within 24 business hours of release to receive a full evaluation and comply treatment so ordered. Okay? Comment below. What's going on here, y'all? I have theories, conspiracy theories only. All this is alleged, okay? But my theory is that there's some mental health something or drugs, okay? Those are my theories, or it could be a combination because a lot of people self-medicate with drugs when they have mental health struggles and challenges, okay? But does that mean that she's a violent mental health victim, a person who is struggling? Or is there some kind of family, familial dispute, situation, relationship problem that created an environment where there was an incident? That maybe this isn't, because I didn't see many of these. I don't see a history here. So it sounds like this may have been one explosive moment, like maybe a breakup. Maybe Monica and Sean's relationship caused a problem between the son and a father that clearly the son loves. Maybe. I don't know. You tell me what you think. This is all guess speculation. Elliot, this is all alleged. I don't know anything. But I'm just trying to read between the, the lines. I'm not reading tea leaves. I'm not into all that. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of information that we don't know. I guess that's what I'm getting at. So let's move on. And I'll let you guys ponder that at the comments cafe. So, another thing I forgot to mention is that when the reduction was happening for Monica's criminal activity of some sort, there were affidavits submitted. The affidavits were submitted by, I know Jaylen was one of the parties that submitted an affidavit. So it makes me think that maybe the lawyer got this family to say, hey, you guys love each other. Stop fighting, okay? Whatever it's about, it's not that serious. You guys are good people. Let's move on. We have to appear united to the courts for us to get this thrown out of court for her. Do we want to move on? And that's what I'm guessing happened here. And affidavits occurred. And let me go back and see, because let me also say this, that in regards to the 500 feet, I don't know if you guys caught that because I forgot to mention it, that it has some initials as to who she was to stay away from. And it says HJ and JJ. That sounds like the husband and the son. Those are who I am guessing she was ordered to stay 500 feet away from. So as you see, this gets a bit complicated when we look at the fact that this incident that happened at the house, was she still on probation? Was she still supposed to be away from them? But it also creates an environment where it makes you wonder if this was accidental. Because if she broke probation, was this, hey, I told you not to come back around here. You know what I mean? So it makes you wonder about that, whether or not this was accidental or intentional. Let's say you changed the locks. I told you I'm going with my conspiracy theories now. But if you made it so that, or blocked the door with something heavy maybe, then she wouldn't be able to come in through the front door. That'd be a great way to set somebody up, wouldn't it? I'm not saying that happened, but I have an overactive brain of conspiracies, and it made me wonder, like, is it possible? Okay, this is what I was looking for. Motion to reduce bond. It said there's an affidavit from Harry Johnson, affidavit of Jaylen Johnson, affidavit of Tyrone McNichols, which is her father. They didn't say if it's junior or senior, so it could be the father or the brother. I'm thinking it's the father because that's who Jaylen called when he was in trouble. Okay. So it looks like based on those affidavits from June 12th of 2020, that's how she got the reduced bond related to those domestic charges we were talking about earlier. So as you can see, this could be complicated. I hope that you guys are getting what I'm getting, which is that, we can't jump to any conclusions here because this could be complicated. But I think that it also be that the cops are doing the right thing here and saying that don't just automatically throw, Monica in her grave and say that this was an accident, because maybe there's more to it. Now, let me see. Okay. I'm actually nearing towards the end of my video, of my research. The last part, I'll end with this, which is the social media part. This is basically, I was in the Facebook streets, the Instagram streets, social media streets, and there was a little bit of hair pulling and windmilling going on in the comments under a post about Jaylen's arrest and this shooting, this unaliving that happened, okay? And, some of his family was down there defending him. His girlfriend was defending him. The one who was unnamed in all of the news articles. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that, but I read probably the better part of 10 articles at least when I was doing my research on this, seeing if anybody had any new information or different information. And everybody basically said that there was a girlfriend there after the shooting happened. Jaylen called 911. And then at some point he called his grandfather. And then they also mentioned that his girlfriend, they said, attempted to help her or tried to help her. But when paramedics arrived, they attempted life-sustaining measures, and it didn't work. She passed away at the scene. So we know there's a girlfriend there, and she's going to be a key witness in all of this, okay? The interesting thing is that she got into it, and we're going to get into that. I'll show you the social media, let's say the hair pulling it, I'm just playing when I say that. But there was a little bit of going on in the comments between her and someone who was, as anybody would. I told you, we are Earth neighbors. So everybody has a right to talk about this because it happens. It's a public thing. What happens to one of us happens to all of us. Some of us feel that way. Okay? So those people who be talking about mind your business, whatever, mind your business. Okay? You go on just being selfish and only caring about yourself, but some of us still care about others. Okay? It's not all just, gossip and rumors and all that. It's not, everybody's intention is not that. Some of us are truly alarmed. Some of us are bothered. I saw one person who was talking about, she just cried. You know what I mean? I get it. I totally get it. It hurts my heart too, to see people, gunned down or hurt in such a violent manner. And for what? Because somebody's been watching too much Grand Theft Auto? Like what? Or Call of Duty? Like, come on. Okay. So, let me get on to this part where we are going to end on what's happening socially. So the court of public opinion, I love the comments is really some of the most lively, that's why I said you got to make a whole cafe for the comments. we have a whole cafe here. So I welcome everybody to come, bring your own, drinks and enjoy the comments, because it was an interesting and horrifying things that happened in the comments. So let me stop. Oh my God, I'm rambling. Cut it out. Okay. So back to Shaun White. So it appears that Monica and Shaun were threatened. Okay. Do I know if those text messages that he posted some text messages. Let me say that. I said this like you guys know. He posted some text messages. In those messages, allegedly, Jaylen threatened to shoot Monica and Shaun. Ooh. Yeah. You see what I'm saying about complicated? Also, there is some DV where, and I couldn't see what the date was on those. I got to look at that again to see if there's a date involved. But long story short, one person in the comments was like, oh, those are fake text messages. Now, I don't know. But you know who can find out? The police. Okay? And I hope that they find out whether or not these text messages were legit. I'm assuming they are, but I don't know. Okay? So let me put that out there. So this is all alleged. That Jaylen threatened to shoot Monica and Shaun. And there was a DV moment where he barged into the bathroom while she was nude and trying to shower. And she says in those messages that he was throwing her things about. Okay? Throwing her things out. So I also am running off of the hints. And like I said, I'm going to let this video end with a little bit of a photo tribute to Monica. May God have mercy on her soul and her family. May peace be with them all. May God comfort them in these days ahead. And to Jaylen, I pray that this is not what some of us think it could be. I pray that this was indeed an accident, because you come from a good family. He comes from a good family. And I pray that he has not let himself down or let them down. I just pray, because then, like, what's going to happen to his son or his kid? What's going to happen to his whole life? He'll be a felon if he gets out. It's just a lot to that I don't wish for anybody. I wouldn't even want to be in this situation. Everybody's posting about me. He went from being posted about, I'm pretty sure he probably, even though I couldn't find anything, but he probably was like, oh, he's in football, athlete, how, people who are in sports and stuff, and everybody knows them and love them in school. And oh my God, to being like a villain in a movie where we all don't know how this is going to end. So that's just the mental health part. I'm just like, I don't envy that for anybody. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So again, Shaun, the part that gives, let me also say this before I get into that, because I know you guys like, get on with it. You can fast forward if you like. I know I am a little bit of a rambler. No, a lot of a rambler. But the thing that I want to say, though, is that what gives credence to those text messages where other people were trying to make it sound like he just came out with these? Oh, no. Those text messages that Shaun showed several times online to anybody who would look, he shared those text messages with so many people, okay? The police, there is no way the police don't know about him, because all you have to do is go to his site. He has told so many people about those threats, okay? But he didn't just tell people about it. He actually have been talking about them since January. So that's before this. So that, to me, says that there's a potential that this could be premeditated unaliving, okay? Because, which would be crazy insane. But it really has to, they got to follow the evidence. That's all I got to say. They have to follow the evidence. The fact that this is out there, the fact that this predates this shooting at the house, supposed accident, alleged accident, I should say. It's just something to be said about it, okay? And because I don't want to break into this, I just want this to just run. I'm going to show you the social media stuff, and then we're just going to run into the photos of, memorializing Monica. And I'm also going to mention that the key witness, the girlfriend, she reveals herself in the comments as Marshall Hicks. Okay. So the girlfriend is going to be an absolute key witness. Were you afraid? What did you hear? Do Jaylen always play with guns? Was the gun already loaded? Were you guys awake? It's going to be so much that we need to hear from Mrs. Hicks, Miss Hicks, not Mrs. The other part that I was kind of curious about, because I seen the kid in a video, which I wouldn't play here because I don't want to show the kid online. He deserves privacy. It's a baby. I don't show children on my site. Unless we're talking about a criminal case of some sort in the future. But at one point, and I'm going to play that video, which is Monica. I'm just going to describe what's happening. You're going to hear the audio, okay? But just know that when I play the audio of Monica talking about, look at my handsome son and my handsome grandson, when she's doing that, just picture, or you can go out to her Instagram and look for this. But there's a video of her in the house. I believe this is the house where the event happened. And she's walking behind Jaylen and her grandson. He's holding the grandson. He's walking away from her. And she's walking behind him, just saying all these confirmations, all this. You could just hear all this pride that she loves him so much. And I kid you not, when I first watched that, I was just like, I don't like this energy. But then I said, hey, you know what? Everybody in my family, if you caught me, now this is when I was a teenager, not when I was 25. I wasn't doing this at 25. I didn't like the energy. You know what I mean? Like, all I can say is that the energy, I felt a tension. And not just, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is a little bit tainted by the fact of what happened. But, the energy between them, it seemed like she loves him so much. And it didn't feel in that video reciprocated. Okay. Now, mind you, he could have been distracted. He could just be a person who's not really into, let's say showing his emotions outwardly. I could be totally, reading this all wrong. Because a lot of people are like, he loved his mother, blah, blah, blah. Well, look at what happened. You know what I'm saying? This wouldn't be the first time somebody has been killed by somebody they love. Okay, let's just be honest. I mean, unalive, excuse me. So that doesn't really matter, to be honest. But I'm just saying there was a tension there, or the vibe was off. You know what I mean? Where it didn't feel like the way it's supposed to, if that makes sense. And this could have been because of some of this stuff that I just told you about in my research. That definitely could have played a huge part as into why it was like that. Okay, I'll let you guys, I don't want to just keep going on and on and on. But I feel like I'm closing something that I've been sitting with since it happened, since March 7th. I have been researching, and they have been a part of my life. I've been a part since then. So I feel like this is like closure, for now. I put an alert out there so that I will get updates on the case, and I will come back and let you guys know if there's anything that I can, either share that I found in an update on the court case, or, if new information comes out, I will try to update you guys, because this is just the beginning. You know how it is with court cases. These can last months or they can last years before they see their day in court. So, or get thrown out. Who knows where this is going. But there's just a lot that we need to know. So I don't know if anybody wanted to hear my opinion of what I think. Do I think he's guilty or not? But I think I'll chime in and say this. It's too early to say. He's presumed innocent until proven guilty. The burden is on the state, on the prosecutor, to prove him anything but innocent, because he's innocent at this point and deserves the benefit of doubt. However, I think that you can get there. Like, when I think about involuntary manslaughter, the way that I read it, you can get there even without the text messages, even without the past history of threatening to shoot her. Because the involuntary manslaughter is just like you did something that was considered, like you knew that this could cause deadly, this could end in somebody's death, right? And we don't find it to be reasonable, the action you took to be reasonable, okay? You can get there on the flip, just like off the back, just face value. I don't think that this doesn't make sense. It's daylight. Why didn't you look outside? Why didn't you ask? Was the door broke open? This doesn't make sense. This person lived there too. You know what I mean? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, you will have to somehow, like, he's gonna probably have to testify in order to give us some kind of reasonable explanation as a juror. You will have to give them a reasonable explanation as to why would you shoot first? Like, your mother, if she's not there, even if she comes in and out, why would you shoot first? That doesn't make sense. The other part that doesn't make any sense to me is, did she kick the door in? You know what I mean? Like, was there a broken hinge, a broken lock, some type of... I just got to see something that looks like you were in danger. And if I don't see danger, I'm sorry. You're going to jail. You're going to prison. Not jail. Prison. So that's my take on it, which is that this has to be... Something's got to come out that will make me feel, change my mind about that. Which is that... But when you add on top of it, if these are substantiated, these claims that he had threatened to shoot her before, and all that nonsense... I'm sorry. No, because I'm sorry. I have a hard time believing that somebody who threatens to do something like that, then now we're in an accident. Like, no. I don't know how smart you are, sir, but So, okay, that's all. That's all I have for today. Thank you for your attention and your time, and your patience with me as I ramble through my first video. I look forward to meeting you all at the Comments Cafe, and be well, be kind to each other, and bye. So, rest in peace, Monica McNichols-Johnson. Makes no sense. This boy is grown. You were raised, whether you liked your mom or not, you should have been off living your own life and not bothering hers. Hashtag let go and let God. Ain't nothing wrong with the distance. Ain't nothing wrong with distance. Rest well. Hashtag peace is everything. I keep telling y'all, this new generation don't have a code. Y'all out here turning down jobs, borrowing from your 401k, turning down relationships for these selfish ass kids. Mama, love your life because them kids ain't thinking about you. They will kill you. Marshall Hicks. Respectfully, y'all speaking on a situation y'all know nothing about. The news turns every story they put out. This was not on purpose. History or not, Jaylen has always been for the people and he loves his mother to death, regardless of anything y'all don't see, what goes on behind closed doors. Anybody who knows him can vouch. He's hurting too, and y'all only take into account what y'all think y'all know, and that's why our black men fall to the system. Don't speak on situations you don't know about. Hashtag this. Yes, people just needs to mind their own business. Jaylen is my little cousin. I knew how he feel about his mother. Say it again. Amen. And thanks for the awareness. So did he kill his mom or something? Sadly, yes. Different stories surrounding what actually happened though. All in all, it seems like family and friends are divided on the circumstances. I just read the story. That's so sad. It doesn't sound like he meant to do it. He thought it was an intruder. I myself would have actually waited to see who came in the door first to make sure before I shoot. It's just a sad story. I'm hoping for his family's peace. That's true. First and foremost, I most certainly can and will respond to comments on my post, ma'am. Secondly, he did unalived his own mama of you want to be honest. I think she meant if you want to be honest. Thirdly, wonderful things have been said about him. Yes, but also not so wonderful things. You can't expect the world to feel the same way you do. Oh well, at least not me. I don't care how many exclamation marks are implied. And he's hurt enough. Yet he's the one still alive. I never wish an innocent, youthful life to be lost to any abusive system. But don't get it twisted. If he's found guilty, the time he must pay. And just as you didn't have to tell me anything, I didn't have to conform either your request about my thoughts on a now worldwide case. If you're so outraged at this post, then you, my dear, will never be able to handle a trial with him because not everyone has nice things to say about him. I'm sorry this happened to this entire family. I couldn't dare imagine it. And for all involved, let's hope all the evidence shows it was truly an accident. I was there, you wasn't, so I can say what the fuck I want because I know. Well, there you go. Then yes, you definitely know more than me. I'm sure your efforts and eyewitnessing will be the key in his release. Thanks for finally telling the people on my post. And by the way, this was the unless those involved mention was about. He didn't really. Really not trying to disrespect anyone, and my prayers go out to all those that loved her, that she has left behind. But honestly, this is social media where people come to find out things and talk about them. It's really sad when it's your own at the root of any of these types of discussions. Furthermore, when you get people that say, don't ask questions, then folks tend to go off what either the news says or what history projects. No one except those involved truly knows what happened. I agree wholeheartedly with that. So That probably means you don't either. Speculation is what most are doing. Until facts come out and it's proven one way or the other, opinions are going to differ respectively. I think she meant respectfully, but whatever. We living in the last days. The Bible is playing out. You have to get close to God. She posts regularly on social media this month. RIP, I was unaware this happened. This problem with guns in the house. Yes, she used to, just a couple days ago. Sometimes the news irks my soul. They only tell what they want to tell and leaving people to make up an assumption. Rest in peace to his mother, praying for him and his entire family. Lord, he loved his mother to death, and I know he misses her deeply. Kids killing their parents, parents killing their kids. What in the whole hell is going on? This boy was grown, and able-bodied to be gone. If you mad at your parent, leave. Do better with yours. Oh, bitter, ungrateful ass makes me sick. Now that other issue. That boy was just a boy. His dad was big and grown. No excuses. Even though some of these teenagers make you want to cuss up a storm, this should never happen. We shouldn't be so swift to judge or speculate on something you know nothing about. I thought and was raised to pray in situations like this. I don't know what LJS, I don't know what that means. Is that supposed to be, I'm just saying, or I don't know what that is. Was his weapon licensed? Knowing him, yes. But what does that have to do with this terrible tragedy? And I don't mean any harm by asking. Heard that it was an AR. I was just told that it wasn't on purpose. He thought she was a burglar somehow. The news only tells what they want. However, don't tell the whole story. Praying for him and his family. Also, the article reads manslaughter, not murder. Look up the definition of manslaughter and murder. I don't need to look up the definition of nothing. I know the meaning of both. Jaylen, dad told me this information. I'm not sure if it's true or not. I'm just praying for Jaylen and his family. I'm not debating with you. I spoke to his dad as well. I'm agreeing with you. I was saying for other people to look up the definition of manslaughter. Not you. I'm agreeing with you. Shalom. Enjoy your night. This internet here will condemn you and send you to hell without knowing the whole story. Praying for this family. Y'all, this is heartbreaking. Lord Jesus Christ, receive her until you rest with the Lord. It definitely is. 56 years and your enemy was your son living in your own house? Jesus save us, because this world going to flames. I stood out in the rain and just cried. Sometimes that's the cleansing we need. No way. These kids become grown and stronger than some of their parents. At some point, we have to trust in God and let them live on their own if they don't appreciate us, no matter how mad they get. Because as soon as we don't do what they like or we say no, Jesus. Yes, ma'am, call him. Because the devil is snatching souls. He had to invade this boy's mind. I know them. I'm in disbelief. I hate to hear this stuff. Like, this angers me because I wish I had my mom. This is so sad and unbelievable. No, not my friend. She pulled up on me the week before Elmo's closed to holler at me. It had been some years. I just found out she's a friend of my family member way in Arkansas. And we didn't even know. Then this. Sean got more information on his page because I just don't understand. 25 living at her house? Kids these days so mad and ungrateful, it is ridiculous. Praying that wasn't on purpose, very sad. It was, I bet. There was a history. Wow. These kids are fucking crazy. Oh my God. Gotta be the open season for the devil, cause this is unimaginable. Shake my head, rot in hell. And he still looked like he mad at the world. Like he didn't just do this bullshit. I hope he never see daylight. And the sad part about it, as a mother, we probably wouldn't even want the worst for our child that has done such an awful thing. She was such a person to forgive. Folks losing it couldn't imagine hurting or doing some BS like that to my mama. My mama that I only have one of? Hell no. No matter what I'm mad about with my mama, no one, not even me, could hurt my mama, by mouth or physically. This new generation of kids, different. Not all, but some. I just got off the phone with my mama, something I do daily, regardless how I feel. That's what I'm talking about. Thus, I think she meant this. This generation is embarrassing, rude, disrespectful, no remorse. Gotta be the devil invading. Dark Cloud, once the devil attached himself to you, he never truly leaves. When we was growing up, he left. But now he preying on the new generation. Yes, it is.
Keys, come here.
Son and grandson. Handsome, aren't they? That's what I have. Beautiful people in my family. Gorgeous. How big my son is. He was 9 pounds 6 ounces when he was born. And look at his babies. His baby 1 year old doing everything. Look how tall he is. Long, intelligent, handsome, smart, stronger than strong. Number 2, baby Bam Bam. Black baby Bam Bam, beautiful. And 1/1/1999, the first baby of the year, the one holding the little one. That's what's up. The beginning of the years, January, February, and March are the godly years. So this is what you see. Love, peace, and happiness. A turkey at O'Fallon Park sees all the food. How beautiful. Hey, look at this. On Mother's Day. Beautiful. Look at all the geese. Look at all the geese.
That turkey, that's a rare one.
A rare turkey.
After the turkey, get on you.
No, it's gonna get them. He want the food. Then it's a dog somewhere. Look how beautiful it is. Look at the turkey chasing the bird. It ain't gonna do nothing to us.
Yeah, tell
No.
you to get on your ass.
It's funny.
Look, don't videotape me. You can shit. I'm not done interest on it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's chasing the birds. It's chasing the geese. It's hilarious. He's beating up all the other birds. Look, it knows I'm doing it, so why is it? A turkey on Mother's Day in O'Fallon Park, right over where O'Fallon Park YMCA is. Birds eating. I fed the animals this morning a big, huge loaf of bread, a big Italian one, a long cut, and they're happy. All of them, the toddler, everything, eating everything, even though they need to pick up this trash to go to park. Look at the turkey chasing. And they're all leaving because of this truck. The parks and he wants to be on video of this. We gonna give it what he wants. And now they're leaving. But no, they're gonna come back.
That one falling at the mouth.
And this one's happily foaming at the mouth. Let's get a close up. It ate a lot of whatever it ate. And there's a friend. Tell you, he ate good. Mother's Day, 2023.